All right. Welcome class to lecture 9 for Math 410 Elementary Algebra with your professor, Mr. Pacheco. Today's date is November 15th, 2021. Let's take a look at chapter 10.1, y'all. So make sure you pause if I'm going too fast or if you need to rewind it to rehear what I said, go ahead and do so. Um, I'm going to go ahead and this is going to be a video recording, so you're able to do this at your own pace. All right, guys, so let's go ahead. We're starting chapter 10 this last lecture. 10.1 is the rectangular coordinate grid. So to keep that in mind, remember that the vertical axis, so vertical is just up and down. The up and down is the y-axis. The y-axis is the vertical axis. And then if you look at the horizontal axis, left and right. So horizontal is left and right. It's also known as the x-axis, guys. So we have left and right, and then vertical is up and down. So keep that in mind as you move on. We move on in the chapter. So remember, an ordered pair is an xy coordinate for one point. So xy, so there's going to be an xy here. So that is one ordered point. This point here is at this x value and is at here at this y value. So that's xy. So it's like a point, okay? Um, Now we have four different quadrants that I need you to remember in this class. Quadrant one starts at the top right hand, okay? And then the second one is to the left, the bottom one to the third, and then the fourth one to the bottom right. So quadrant one, both x and y are going to be positive and positive because you see positive 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But quadrant two, the x values negative 1, they're negative values, right? But the y is still what? Positive. In quadrant 3, the x's are negative as well as the y values. In quadrant 4, the x is back to being positive, but the y is still negative because it's below the x-axis. And keep in mind that the middle point of where both the x and y axis meet is called the origin, which is just 0, comma 0. So keep that in mind, okay? So if you wanted to, graph 3 comma 2 will be right here. 3 comma 2. Just in case you wanted to know how to remember to plot a point, guys. You're going to be using this a lot. And knowing how to plot points is going to be your biggest helper for this chapter. So make sure if you don't know how, go ahead and look up videos to do so. All right. Look at this example. Remember, pause to set it up in your notebook. If you're going to sketch the graph, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just draw the x and y, the years, the columns, just as accurately as you can. Or you can print it out. The following line graph shows the attendance at an annual event from 1998 through 2004. Estimate the attendance at the annual event in 1999. So it wants you to find out the estimate for 1999. So if it starts at 1998 and 2000, so that means 1999 should be in the middle between the two. So it should be right here. And it wants you to find the attendance at the annual event. So I'm going to go all the way up to this line, and it's at this point here. I'm going to go to the right to see what right value that is, right? So we know the x value is 1989. What's the y value? So it's right here, a little bit above 60. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4. So in 4 lines, it goes to 80,000. So that means it must be, so 80 minus 60 is 20,000 divided by 4 is 5,000. So it's going by 5,000. So it'll be 5,000 65,000, 70, 75, 80. Do you see how you need to find the patterns of what each little bracket is going to be? So we know that there's going to be about 65,000 people in attendance in 1999. So, and it's paid attendance. That's how many people paid for the ticket. So you see how we broke down the graph and everything. So don't overthink it, guys. Just try to find a pattern within it. There is a pattern. Now, if you don't know the pattern, your job is to find that pattern. Okay. So try that here in this practice problem. Uh, The line graph shown to the right shows the attendance at each championship football game from 1995 to 2003. Find the year on the graph with the least attendance and approximate the attendance. So pause here to see where you're at. I'll try to make this a little bigger. So it wants to know when the attendance is the least attendant. So we can tell here it's going to be at 2003. So it's right there. We know it's the 2003. The year is 2003. And it wants us to approximate it. So it's going to be approximately how much? So it's not 69,000, but it's not 68. It's more than half. So you can just say anything between, I would say 69,000, maybe 750, a little bit more than 500, but underneath 69,000. Oh wait, it should be 68,750. It is right below 69. So it'll be approximately something along those lines. Doesn't have to be. It's not. Doesn't have to be rocket science. It's estimated. All right. So here's another example. Plot the order pair 1, 2. State in which quadrant or on which axis the point lies. So remember it's x, y, x comma y. So you have 1, 2. So we know x is 1 and y is 2. So x is 1 is right here. Y is 2 is going up. So go to the right 1 and then up 2. 1, 2. And there is the point that we want. 1, comma 2. Don't overthink the coordinate grid, guys. So remember, x tells you if it's positive, you move to the right. If x is negative, you move to the left. If y is positive, go up. If y is negative, go down. And that's how you plot points, guys. Remember to watch videos on plotting points if you don't know how. Go ahead and practice this one. Oh, wait, when you're not done, it wants us to state which quadrant or which axis. As they're both positive, so you can look at the numbers. They're both positive numbers, so we can say it's going to be in quadrant 1. It could also be on the axis line, right? X is the horizontal, Y is the vertical. So practice. Plot the order pair -2, 0. State in which quadrant or on which axis the point lies on. Pause here to give it a try. Remember, we know x comma y. So we know x is -2 and is 0 y. So we don't go up or down. So what axis is it on? It is on the x-axis, not in any quadrant. So keep that in mind as you work through these examples, guys. Here's another example. Find the x and y coordinates of the labeled point. So look at the graph here. The C point is where it's at. 0, 0 is the origin. So I move to the left 1, right, because it's -2. So that means the x value is -1. And it doesn't go up or down. It's on the x-axis, so we know y is 0. So the coordinates of C are -1, 0. And we're done. Don't overthink these problems, guys. Like, they're pretty straightforward. Rewatch this if you have to. Practice. Find the x and y coordinates of the labeled point. So here, C is right here. Pause it so you can give it a try. So we know x is to the right, right? So it's +1, and it goes up 2. So it'll be 1, 2, and we're done. Uh, 10.2, guys, graphing linear equations. So here's the standard form of a linear equation. Ax plus by equals c, where a, b, and c are real numbers. So remember this, guys. Write this into your notebook. This is an equation, and we are going to be using this throughout both lectures this week. So make sure you go ahead and have that handy with you guys. Let's keep moving on. So for the equation, find 3 ordered pair solutions by completing the table. Then use any two to graph the equation. Okay, so we have this equation, x minus y equals to -5, right? So what we're going to do is use the equation with these points. So we know the equation is x minus y equals 5. Well, here the first line, we know y is 0. So we're going to put that for 0. So we're going to have x minus 0 equals 5, right? Because y is 0. Well, x minus 0 is just x equals 5. So we know this point here is 5. So 5 comma 0. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. X is 5, y is 0. So there's the first point. X is now 2, right? So now we're switching it up. Now X is 2. So we have X minus Y equals 5. Now we're going to go ahead and plug in X for 2, right? So then we get 2 minus Y equals 5. Use algebra to get Y by itself, right? So how do we move a positive 2 over? We subtract it. You get negative Y equals 5 minus 2, which is 3. Divide both. This is the invisible negative 1, so we're going to divide both sides by negative 1. So then we get Y equals negative 3. So that goes right here. 2 comma negative 3. So X is 2, Y is negative 3. Now it gives us Y is negative 3. I made a mistake, but it's alright. So now we're going to plug in Y for negative 3, right? So I'm going to do my work in purple. So it'll be X minus negative 3 equals 5. So two negatives make a positive, right? Plus 3. So we want to get X by itself, so subtract 3 on both sides. So we get X equals positive 2, which is the same thing. So these 2 points are the same, but luckily we only need 2 points. We only need 2 points to make a line in algebra. So let me go ahead. And there you go. You have your line. All right. Practice problem, guys. Same thing here. X minus Y equals 3. You use the equation to plug in the X values that they give you to get the rest. So here we have Y equals 0, right? So for the first part, we get X minus 0 equals 3. Remember, it's X minus Y equals 3, which is just X equals 3. So we're done with the first point, 3 comma 0. Make sure you pause it to work on the ones that you need to. So we have X is 1, right? So next is going to be blue. So then we have 1 minus Y equals 3. Solve for Y. Subtract 1 on both sides. Okay, negative Y equals 2. There's negative 1 here. Divide both sides by negative 1. So then we get Y equals negative 2. So when X is 1, Y is negative 2. X is 1, Y is negative 2. Well, that's all we need to really plot our points, but we still got to find the third one. So let me go ahead and switch to red. So now Y is negative 1, right? So it'll be X minus negative 1 equals 3. This is plus 1. We'll go ahead and subtract 1 on both sides. So we get X is equal to 2 when Y is negative 1. So it'll be X is 2, negative 1. And look at that. It kind of lines perfectly with these lines. So go ahead and get my graphing tool, and then I'm just going to go ahead and connect these points. And we're done. Make sure you do this in your math lab, guys. Good luck. So here for the following, find 3 ordered pairs by completing the table, then you graph the equation. So the cool thing, we're just plugging these in for X values. So we're just going to get the Y's for all of them. So let's go ahead and get that figured out. So we're going to get X is 0 first. So it'll be Y equals negative 2 parentheses 0 plus 6, right? Because X is 0. So negative 2 times 0 is 0 plus 6. So Y equals 6. That's that first one. Now we're going to switch to pink. Pink is going to be X is 1. So it'll be Y equals negative 2 parentheses 1 plus 6. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. Bring down to plus 6. You owe me $2, but you have 6, so you're still going to have 4 left over. So Y is 4. And then we're going to do the last one, brown. X is 2. So Y is negative 2 parentheses 2 plus 6. Go ahead and multiply the 2. Negative 2 times 2 is what? Negative 4 plus 6. You owe me $4, but you have 6, so you're still going to have 2 left over. So that's 2. So now we plot these points. X is 2, y is 2. When x is 1, y is 4. When x is 0, y is 6. Which is also known as the y-intercept, but you'll see that soon. And then you just connect these 3 points, and you're good to go. Go ahead and you're going to practice this on your own as well. Pause it here so you can try to set up the equation in your table first. So, the equation is y equals negative 4x plus 3. You have x is 0, 1, and 2. So we're going to do x is 0 first. So y equals negative 4 times 0 plus 3, which is just 0 plus 3, which is just 3. So 0, comma 3. Which is right here. I'm going to go ahead and plot that first. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and look at x is 1. So it'll be y equals negative 4 parentheses 1 plus 3. Negative 4 times 1 is negative 4 plus 3, which is just negative 1. So when x is negative 1, when x is 1, y is negative 1. Now we're going to go ahead and do 2. So now we have y equals negative 4 times 2 plus 3, which is negative 8 plus 3. You owe me $8, but you only have 3, so you're still going to owe me $5. So then this is their point here. You notice how it kind of falls in a pattern, kind of, right? But we're going to figure that out in next lecture, okay? What that pattern is. There you go. All right. Constant function, everyone. F of x equals c, where c is any real number is a linear function with zero slope at the y-intercept 0, comma c. It's also known as a horizontal line. So graph the following function, y equals 5. So c is equal to 5. It's a constant function, y'all. So we're going to go ahead and put it at y equals 5, which is the y-axis. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is between 4 and 6. And like I said, it's a horizontal line. So it's very important that it goes through the y-axis 5. And it's a horizontal line. Remember that the slope is 0. The slope is 0. Don't forget about that. Alright, and the y-intercept here, if you want to know where it crosses the y-axis, it crosses it at 0, comma 5, which satisfies these components here. Go ahead and give yourself a try on y equals negative 3. So what's the order? So think about the y-intercept. Y-intercept is 0, comma c, right? C is negative 3. So be right here at negative 3. And it's going to be what kind of line? If you said horizontal, good job. Make sure horizontal means that it has 0 slope. So that's the y-intercept. And then we know the slope is what? 0. Do not forget to remember that. Horizontal lines have slope of 0. It's knowledge you want to remember in mathematics in general. You don't want to just not say, I don't know. You have to remember the slope of a horizontal line is 0. Because you don't go up or down, just go straight across the line. Like picture a dude walking up here. La 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 la. And it's a straight line. He's not going to go uphill or downhill. Life is good. Alright. Now we have here slope-intercept form of a line where m is the slope and b is the y-intercept. Graph the function. So when you have this function here, 2x plus 1, and you don't know how to graph it, make a table. The way you make a table is very easy, guys. You just do an x and y. And I would just plug in 0, 1, and 2. Those are the first 3 I would do. So when x is 0, 2 times 0 is 0 plus 1 is 1. So you can show your work here. So 2 parentheses 0 plus 1 is 0 plus 1, which is just 1. That's the first one. And next is 1. It'll be 2 parentheses 1 plus 1. 2 times 1 is 2 plus 1, which is 3. And then x is 2. So it'll be 2 parentheses 2 plus 1, which is 4 plus 1 equals 5. So then we have our points. So it'll be 0, 1, 0, 1, right? Uh, and remember, B is a y-intercept, so B is 1. So we know it's a 0, 1. So it kind of matches up with here, right? So then x is 1, y is 3, right here. 2 is 5. See how the points kind of go up in the same pattern? That's called the slope, but we'll mess with that later in another example, another lesson. And just like that, you graph this example. Try not to overthink it, guys. There's also resources how to graph lines if you have to. Use calculators if you have one, but you don't need a calculator, guys. Look how I did this lecture so far for this lesson. There's no calculator needed. Just being able to write down your work and show the steps and simplify, you should be good as well. So please rewatch this section if you were lost at any point, or if you want to see what I did again to kind of let it click. Alright, we're almost done, guys. We're on the third section, 10.3, intercepts. So recall a linear equation in two variables can be written in ax plus by equals c. We know a horizontal line is in the form y equals c, where c is a constant. We know a vertical line will be in the form x equals c, where c is a constant. We have some definitions here. X-intercept is a point where a graph crosses the x-axis. X-intercept crosses x-axis. Y-intercept crosses the y-axis. It's a point. It's a specific point. X and y-intercept is just one point specifically. So we're going to need to utilize that in this lesson. So what does that mean? So finding x and y intercepts, right? To find the x-intercept, we have to let y equal 0 and solve for x. So let's go ahead and find the x-intercept first. So x-intercept. So example, graph x minus 3y equals 6 by finding and plotting intercepts. So x-intercept is let y equal 0, solve for x. Remember that. We have this equation here, x minus 3y equals 6. Y is what? 0. So it'll be x minus 3 times 0 equals positive 6. Well, 3 times 0 is 0. So then I get x minus 0 equals 6, which is just x equals 6, and that is our x-intercept. 6 comma 0. That is the x-intercept. So now we just need to do the y-intercept. So then the y-intercept is... So the y-intercept is set x equal to 0, solve for y. So then we have x minus 3y equals 6. So x is 0, so it'll be 0 minus 3y equals 6, which is just negative 3y equals 6. Divide both sides by negative 3. That becomes a 1. Y equals to negative 2, which the order pair will be 0 comma negative 2. So remember, x-intercepts, guys, are always going to be x comma 0. Y is always going to be 0 for x-intercepts. For y-intercepts, x is always going to be 0, and then the y-intercept is going to be the y value. So we have the 2 points right here. So now that we have the points, we're going to go ahead and graph them, right? Let me go ahead and sketch a little quick graph, x and y. So we know x is 6, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So x is 6. And then y is negative 2. 1, 2, y is negative 2. And then draw your line to them, and we're done. Very simple, guys. Very algebraically. We're using algebra at this point to find other things that we need. With nothing new. We know how to plug in, right? We know how to plug in values. Y is 0. We know how to do that. And we know how to solve for equations by manipulating it. So see how we're tying everything we've been learning so far together? Very beautiful stuff. Here's a practice problem, guys. Graph x plus 2y equals negative 4 by finding and plotting the x-intercepts. Pause it here to give it a shot. So I always do the x-intercept first. Remember, that's x comma 0. And this little point tells you what you do in case you forget. So what's 0? X is there. Y is 0, right? Because x, y. So we set y equals to 0. Solve for x. So then we get x plus 2 parentheses 0 equals negative 4. 2 times 0 is 0, so plus 0 equals negative 4. So we just get x is equal to negative 4, and the other pair is negative 4 comma 0. And we're done with that. So now we're going to go ahead and find the y-intercept, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and draw a line. So the y-intercept, remember the y-intercept is always 0, comma y. So then we're going to set x equal to 0, solve for y. So then we get 0 plus 2y equals negative 4, which is just 2y equals negative 4. Divide both sides by 2, and we get y is equal to negative 2, as an ordered pair is 0, comma negative 2. So now we're not done. We're going to go ahead and graph these 2 points and make a line. So then x is negative 4, so 1, 2, 3, 4 right here. And we know y is negative 2. Negative 2 is right there. And connect your lines. And we're done. Don't forget to label your x and y axis, guys. Sorry, I was being a little quick and lazy. So there we go. Let's go ahead and move on. So here in this example, what are the intercepts, right? So we're looking here. We have 3 different intercepts here. So we see x is, so I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So I want you to find the x and y intercepts for this graph, guys. X and y intercepts. So I want all the intercepts. So this is a point here, right? What point is that? So it'll be, this is 0, 0, so it'll be 1, 2, 3. So we know we have negative 3, comma 0. And then we have here going to the right here, right here, that's 1. So then we have 1, comma 0. And then 7, comma 0, right? Because over here we have 7 between 6 and 8. And then here, this y-intercept is 0, comma positive 2. So that's all 4 intercepts, guys. So make sure you type it in correctly. I'm not too sure if you have to separate it with commas. You got to read your assignment because it's going to be a list of them. So good luck, guys. Here's this practice problem. What are the intercepts? There's total of 4, right? So go ahead and use that. Pause it here to see before you get it. I'm just going to write them down. So then we have negative 1, 0, positive 1, 0, 3, 0, and 0, comma 4. Those are all 4 of these intercepts. All right, vertical lines. The graph of x equals c, where c is a real number, is a vertical line with x-intercept z0, c0. Horizontal lines is the graph of y equals c, where c is a real number, is a horizontal line with y-intercept 0c, right here. So to go ahead and pause this, go ahead and write these 2 properties down into your notebooks. So with that example being said, we have graphed the line x equals negative 3. We know it's going to be a vertical line when it's x equals. So go ahead and draw your vertical line at x equals 3, negative 3. Here, notice that doesn't just give it to you, you have to solve it. Y plus 2 equals 0. Go ahead and get y by itself, so we'll subtract by 2 on both sides. So then we get y equals negative 2. So we know that's going to be a horizontal line because it's y equals. You got to make sure you utilize those properties that are in your notebook that I'm giving you because they help you figure out how to graph these on your own. So let's keep moving on. So this is a practice problem for you. X equals 4, which is a vertical line. So pause it here to give it a shot. Right? X equals 4. So it's right here at 4. And it's a vertical line. And then we have y minus 7, right? So we want to get y by itself. So add 7 on both sides. So we get y equals 7, which is a horizontal line because it's that y equals. And just like that, guys, we're done with the first 3 sections. Good job, guys. I know this was a long lecture. Please go ahead and really look at any of the examples you need to and rewatch this if you need to. Email me if you have any questions. Peace and love, guys. I'll see you in class.